Hello guys, welcome back. Somebody asked me a very timely question, and it's very timely for me because I'm actually going through the same exact thing. And there are a couple answers that would work for me. They may or may not work for this person. Please keep in mind I talk in metaphors. Don't do anything I say literally. Um, Someone's going through a lot of stuff and they said, "What do you do when you're going through this stuff and you feel like you're trapped in a maze?" And you can't get to Loki. You vaguely feel he's there, but you can't communicate with him. Well, for me, I learned through experience the first thing I have to do, as hard as it is for me, because I can get myself upset to the point where I hyperventilate and almost pass out, is I have to calm myself. I really have to calm myself. For all the meditation I say I do, I can be there in meditation locked up like I'm in traction, so I really do have to calm myself. That helps a lot. It feels like it's going to make stuff worse if I let go of it for like 5 minutes to try to calm myself down, but it really won't. Trust me. Um, and I had been in a period years ago where Loki and I were just starting to work together again. It's complicated history we have, as you guys know. And it felt like I was going through this forest of thorns. And he was beyond pissed. This is Loki. He was beyond pissed with me, but we were going to work together, but he was going to really make me earn it, and felt like I was going through this forest of thorns. Now, what I was actually going through was depression and anxiety and all this other stuff that went undiagnosed for a while, and thankfully I did end up getting help, and I had surrounded myself with manipulative people. Looking back, I understand Loki told me I could have just burned the forest to the ground and then just walked straight towards him. Now, he doesn't mean literally set things on fire or destroy people in your life or destroy anything else. What he meant was, had I been able to be calm enough, and you can only sometimes do this in hindsight, I would have seen my troubles, even though they were real and they were troubling me at the time. I could have tackled them one by one. It does take time, as I told the person in my initial response. A lot of times it takes time to fix stuff. That's why you guys know I have kind of like a pet peeve with like Hallmark movies and everything. They make it sound like everything in your life is going to be fixed like within a month or 2 months at most, or maybe even a weekend or a day. And I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works on this planet. It took time. It took time for me to recognize I had, depression and anxiety. It took time for me to get on treatments. It took time for me to go through the living nightmare fixer. But, if you have to be put on it, you have to be put on it. It took time for me to recognize the toxic, manipulative people that I'd allowed myself to be surrounded by. So it took time to go through that. And, it took time to get used to the responsibility of suddenly being a homeowner and suddenly having taxes, all this overwhelming adult stuff to deal with. I'd been an adult for quite a few years. But, then when you finally have a home and there are no other adults around to tell you, yeah, this is stuff you have to do and it's a never-ending money pit. It was hard, and I felt lost, and I felt depressed, and I've had times where my faith in Loki's been very rocky. Shut up, Loki. He's Becker helping. But I've been lucky that he's always kept the faith, even though I don't have the best track record. We all know it. Lately, I don't know. I've been wandering everywhere but going to Loki, and Loki's told me until he's blue in the face. He goes, "Why can't Loki be a provider? Why can't Loki be a healer?" And, that's not the time, by the way, to go to the lore and go, "Well, do you remember that time with the goat?" He'll just look at you, and that was not the proper answer. I said, "I guess because he and I are usually pals. And sometimes when you're so palsy-walsy with a god, it backfires because, I've noticed I've started going to Odin for healing or Odin for wisdom or guidance. And I keep getting these wolves with these lamps pop up on Pinterest. I was having so many weird signs happen lately. I thought another pantheon was trying to get my attention. It was Loki. Loki was trying to get my attention in Loki's only way. I'm running across questions. I'm running across all these videos on YouTube. They're seriously random. I'm running across random pins that I would never have associated any of the stuff with Loki. But looking back, I'm like, oh, you were trying to get my attention. I was so bad today, guys. Straight up hand to goddess. I was listening to videos on Artemis, trying to think if Artemis tried to get in contact with me. Because remember, I had a stroke, so nothing stays in this genius brain of mine. And I couldn't remember if Odin was connected with hunting or not. The wild hunt, but is he connected with hunting or not? So, it's just stuff like that. And when we're going through a crisis, it can feel like Loki isn't with us. It can feel like either he's pulled back or we can't reach him. A lot of times, I know that's not the best answer, but it's the most honest answer. It takes time. Like, if you're scared about the future, and you're freaking out about the present, it's not the best time to force yourself to try to feel something you're not going to. Just, take your time, do it day by day. You don't have to light a candle or anything. Just talk to Loki. You can talk to him in your heart or out loud. And just tell him everything that's bothering you. I realize that I probably don't have Greek gods, but I think the boys have been cosplaying different deities because they knew I had a lot of stuff inside me that I was hiding inside of me and bottling up. Like I said, this question was very timely. And I wanted to hold it on my own, deal with it on my own to prove myself to the gods. Well, we don't have to. They're here to be, to work with us in the trenches, as I put it. They're not here to judge us. They're not here to watch how big we can be. That's a very toxic thread in heathenry that really doesn't belong, or paganism, or Wicca, or whatever you practice. And I had this thing the other night where I thought I was talking to a god. I wasn't. It was probably Loki. And I was telling him all the stuff that bothered me that I would never tell Loki because I need to impress Loki and I need to show Loki how strong I am. I need to show Odin how independent I am. And they're both like, you haven't learned a thing working with us, have you? There are gods. We're supposed to go to them. So, and I do have times where I can't feel them. And I can't get communication with them, or the communication seems garbled. So I would just go to them and I will say, well, I can't hear you, but I know you're here, and here are all my troubles. And I know you can take care of them, but I was, and it makes a difference if you were raised in another religion and you come over to work with pagan deities. It does make a difference. I said, how I was raised. I'm always going to have faith issues because you don't have 2,000 years of free press. But I said, I'm going to put it in your hands and I'm going to trust you. And we always end up getting back together. I told Loki, now it's Loki's time to be chased because I couldn't figure out why I kept wandering off on these crazy tangents and why on earth was I going to wander towards Rome or something, because I really never really had much interest in the gods of Rome. I tried vaguely from time to time because people keep pushing you to work with the gods of your ancestors, but I would get zero response. And it seemed to me the Greek gods were acting way too out of type with me. It was something I was struggling with. Like, they just seemed way, way too out of type. Like someone that really doesn't know anything about the Greek gods made constructs of the Greek gods. Like Apollo was always angry and had a bad temper, and I think Artemis would have shot me if she could, and Dionysus just seemed to be vaguely aware of what his worship consisted of. And I'm like, this can't be the Norse gods, can it? They don't dress up in cosplay, do they? I will never know the truth. It could have been Greek gods, it couldn't have. But I do know that I was concerned over like the last week or so. I'm like, I do have a very big heart. I do want to work with all the gods, and in a perfect world I could, but I realized I've been getting really far away from Loki, that I haven't been doing that chase Loki thing. And I know that it's very human sometimes to blame your gods for stuff, so I'm not yelling at anybody for doing this. I've been kind of pissed off with him because it's going to be 3 months of, living kind of not destitute, but not being able to go out and do exactly as we wish. And he knows I'm kind of pissed off with him over it. It's really not Loki's fault. I could have done 1,000 things to avoid this, and I didn't do it because I thought, how hard will it be? It's hard. So, it's my fault entirely that I got into this situation. And I'm not saying that's the case for the other person, but I know I can admit I could have got on a bus and went and did something. I could have done something else. I could have, saved up money every time I wanted, say, a game or go out to eat. I could have done a million things. I didn't do it. So this is my own damn fault. And although I can see that in hindsight, I couldn't see it as I was like going crazy today because I wanted to go out in the worst way. We got used to going out every day in the weekend, and now that we can't do it, even though the food's really shitty, you want to go out anyways. It's weird. We're used to it, but it's okay if you can't feel Loki sometimes. It's perfectly normal. Sometimes it feels like our gods stand back a little bit, and I've had arguments with Loki where there will be something that's super important to me, and I think it's a life or death matter, and I will ask him, what should I do? And he won't tell me. He'll say, what do you think you will do? And I said, no, I'm scared. I don't want to make the wrong decision. What's the right decision? He's like, no, I am not going to make that decision for you. And he said, after the fact, he'll tell me, well, you see, I knew you'd make the right decision, and I knew you would find the answer. You don't have, sometimes he'll say you don't have confidence in yourself, or say, he's told me, what good would life be for me if every time I got scared, because I do have social anxiety, so that's like a daily basis. If every time I got scared, Loki made all my decisions, he goes, you would just eventually be a pet on my lap, and I would speak through you, and you wouldn't even live your own life. He says, I don't want that for you. He said, I know it's scary to be, making your own decisions, and you don't trust your decision-making skills. He said, welcome to adulthood. All adults feel like that. So it's been something, and we've been going through a lot lately because a lot of stuff that they've been working on to heal me. I know it's been painful on Loki. I feel bad. I want to take him out for chicken now. It's like getting dark earlier and earlier. It's not dark, but it looks lousy out there. I hate weather. Sorry, Thor. But I feel like taking him for a treat. We really don't have the money, but I feel like doing something for him, though he's told me, you know, treats and that are nice and everything, but it doesn't make up for spending the time and doing the hard work. They want the love more than anything else. So I hope that helped. It's okay to go through times where it's hard. That's part of the human condition. Most of us aren't going to be fated to, fall into that. Like I said, I don't know if I said this recording, that's my pet peeve with Hallmark. It makes it look like if you're the nice enough person, you're just going to magically fall into the perfect mansion to live in and untold wealth and a perfect lover and everything. That's usually not going to happen for the vast majority of us. I'm sure for some people it will, but for the vast majority of us, it's going to be just living day by day and sometimes living by our wits. We're serving crafty God, so sometimes we have to think outside the box and think of a way to do things that, works for us and works for Loki. I am getting the chicken song, but I think he's talking more about you know, up up there, but we'll see. He likes to distract. If you're new to the channel, he likes to watch me try to make a really important point and then come over and distract. It's lovely, but it's okay to go through tough times. It's okay to feel he's not there. He is there. He doesn't abandon his people. He will get mad, he will sulk. He might not talk to you for a while, but he'll be there. He loves his people. He's ferociously loyal. You can't get rid of him. For the love of the gods, never try to cast him out or try to banish him or something. I was doing something last night, and now I realize what it was. It wasn't some other god or goddess answering me. It was Loki going, mine. He scared the living shit out of me last night. Talking to I thought I was talking to this other god or goddess, and there was this bang sound from like this one table that I have a piece of jewelry on. It was just Loki putting the fox paw out, wanting his territory. So, um, he'll let you know if you're at the period right now where he's not. It feels like he's not talking to you, or he feels upset. Just like I said, spend time, talk to him. You don't have to talk out loud. And do whatever feels right. He will lead us towards, whatever feels right. It's not something, unfortunately, it's not something that's as easy as go to the occult store, buy a statue, buy all this stuff. That's not going to fix it. It's only time. And that's one of the hardest things. I know it sounds, you guys have seen all the altars. I know that sounds two-faced, but really an altar is just a collection of junk if you don't use it anyhow. So there's no quick fix. It just takes time, and it takes having a long-term attitude towards a relationship. that helps. Loki likes to know he can, put down roots, and it just takes time, and it takes a lot of faith. Just trust Loki will catch you. I'm 43, and it's by Loki's grace that I'm still here, because I've made some very stupid decisions in my life. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.